Okay, so right from the jump, I'll say this is a prime Bakugo chapter in my mind. Like, hearing Shigaraki give his spiel about wanting a world of equality, and then Bakugo coming and essentially throwing all that back in his face, and saying the world is already working towards that peace right now, and Bakugo isn't wrong. Like, in an ironic twist of fate, like in an ironic twist of fate, despite what pretty much what Shigaraki says, the world is already coming towards a peace. Like, it is already coming towards a resolution of pretty much how to move forward and how to stop the problems that are afflicting this society. Like, ironically enough, just by the villains taking over is what prompted this. And of course, obviously, we pretty much know that. We pretty much know that what Shigaraki says and what he actually wants are two different things, but it is kind of still a very ironic twist that what he wants is already happening, and it started right when society came together to actually help Izuku. Funny enough, but despite that, but even more so than that, even saying that that society has already started to make changes in the right direction. I like that Bakugo himself not only still understands that disparity through like reflections on his experiences of growing up with Izuku, but also just from taking in the lessons All Might, Aizawa, and just UA as a whole have taught him, and taken those lessons to heart. It's also thanks to that he's able to that Bakugo is able to understand what that means. Both how Izuku had felt during those times, and how he felt when Izuku took his first step towards being a hero. And I love how Bakugo is kind of openly acknowledging his own contribution and his own complicity to do this problem, and just accepting just how, again, kind of accepting how how much of an inferiority complex he truly had to. Once Izuku started developing as a hero and one for all and all that, and it's because of that and it's also through accepting the problems that accepting what had happened and what he did. It's by accepting that I think in some ways, I think more than anyone else, I think Bakugo is the one who actually understands what it means and how that affects people. In fact, I almost dare say I think Bakugo understands that disparity between the weak and the strong even more so than Izuku at this point, just by fully acknowledging the mistakes he's made and saying he's trying to do better with each step forward he takes, and it honestly just feels so good to see Bakugo come full circle as a character in this way. Although, yeah, even despite that, I will never be able to take his hero name seriously. Like, I'm sorry, like it is on brand for Bakugo, but it's still so ridiculous that it's like, okay, whatever, Dynamite. Like, I'm just calling him Dynamite. Like, I'm screwing all the other like explosion murder shit, like King Explosion Murder or whatever. Like, I'm calling you Dynamite, okay, Bakugo? I'm not doing the other shit. But I will say the whole cluster move was still a pretty epic way to end the chapter, especially when Bakugo basically turned into a transformer and activated his panzer cannons. Like, again, that is just so on brand for Bakugo, and yet so epic at the same time. Like, you just love to see it. Now, obviously, one of the things to kind of talk about with this chapter, however, is that the manga is going on a 2-week break starting now. And while I'm sure Horikoshi had his reasons for taking a break, this is one of those weird times where, for as much as I enjoyed this chapter for what it did with Bakugo, I can't help but feel that maybe Shonen Jump should have pushed the break to happen starting with last week's chapter, because for as epic as the ending to this chapter was, as a cliffhanger, it didn't leave me with that kind of suspenseful hook that gets me excited to read the next chapter, like chapter 57 did. And granted, maybe Horikoshi knew this, which is why he's only now taking the break to get this chapter out of the way so he can return with something better, which I'm hoping is the case, because one major issue I also have with this chapter is that while it was great for Bakugo's character, it didn't really progress all that far story-wise, and even if it was just going to be a small tease, I was hoping we'd get a bit of progression on what I talked about last week with, like, I guess the possible connection with Eri and All For One that was established, and not getting any follow-up on that, whether it was true or not, in this chapter just felt like it got blue-balled. But again, at the same time, I do also appreciate the chapter that it kept focused on Bakugo, so it's a little weird in that regard how I'm kind of iffy on how we didn't get a whole lot of progression on that reveal last week, but I do still appreciate that we got so much Bakugo focus. And getting back to Bakugo for a second, though, one of the defining moments of this character growth for me in this chapter is seeing him, like, acknowledge everyone's efforts to get this far and using it as his motivation. How it's definitely a stark contrast to how he viewed them all at the start of the series, where they were just stepping stones to help him get to his goal, but he has started to see throughout the series, started to see them more and more as comrades, and however much you still might not like Bakugo because of his attitude and temperament, there's no denying he has changed, and even Genus seems to acknowledge this as much from just watching what Bakugo does in this chapter, and him shouting at his hero name as him acknowledging that change. Now, when it comes to Shigaraki, there's not a whole lot to say about him, but from what is worth noting is that among his blustering and bragging, we do find out that the All For One quirk is kind of becoming more and more a part of himself and more integrated into his body. So it is one of those things where however he's getting back, he needs to get to work on expediting the process before Shigaraki ends up causing some real serious damage. Like, yeah, I think Izuku, you need to get your ass in gear, bro, because it's not looking... If what Shigaraki says is true, you need to get up there now. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell with the subscribe button. And just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.